Hey gang, welcome back. I got another video installation of some notes. Again, the blank notes, I put it in the folder for the day, so you can follow along on that, or you can just follow along on here. Also, I have a homework assignment pertaining to this, and I'm going to have you guys submit that as well. But today's notes, again, we're going to continue on with this two-dimensional measurement that we've been doing. This two-dimensional measurement we've been looking at is area. And so we've been cutting up the insides of shapes into little tiny squares and then counting the squares, and that's all calculating the area is. But the objective for the day is pretty simple. It's to be able to find the area of trapezoids. I'm not going to be finishing these notes today. These notes will go on a little bit longer, but I'll finish them up in the days to come. We're just going to focus on the trapezoid today, and that's what your homework will be on as well. So like I said, Unit 9 is on the measure of two-dimensional space called area, and we've only looked at two shapes thus far. We looked at the parallelogram. Remember parallelogram? Formula for that was pretty simple. All you had to do is just take the base and multiply it by the height. Triangle, we also looked at that, and all we said was, okay, I can cut a parallelogram in half and create a triangle. Well, if it's a half a parallelogram, the formula for it's going to be half the base times the height. Throughout the next 2 units, it's going to be super important, the relationship between the base and the height. And it's going to even be true today in what we do. The base and the height must be perpendicular. If they're not perpendicular, that means they're not the base and the height. So base has to be perpendicular to the height. That is going to be super important. So remember, the height has to be perpendicular, so the height on this would be this guy. In here, that would be the height. And then in here, again, it has to be perpendicular, so this would be the height right there. So height has to be perpendicular to the base. So today we're going to look at a trapezoid. The definition of a trapezoid, if you think back to our quadrilateral unit, it was what a quadrilateral, meaning it has 4 sides. So it's a quadrilateral with exactly 1 pair of opposite sides parallel. Say hi, Joe. The cameras are here. What can I help you with, Joe? All right, sorry about that. 1 pair of opposite sides parallel. And this is a picture of one down here. You can see the opposite sides that are parallel are going to be this top and the bottom. So this is parallel to this. And again, it has to be exactly 1 pair parallel, because if there were 2 bases or 2 pairs of parallel sides, it'd be a parallelogram, not a trapezoid at all. So the parallel sides, remember, we call those bases. We'll call this a base. And this is a second base now. These guys I'm going to refer to as the legs. So this is a leg. And this is a leg over here. So you have 2 bases and 2 legs. So other parts of this, again, you still need a height on this. A height is going to be the perpendicular distance between the bases. So height has to be perpendicular to the base, something like that. So that's the other part. That is your height. Hey, Joe. Joe, can you close that door, please? Thanks, bub. So that is my height. And notice that it is perpendicular to the base. All right, so the formula for this is kind of complicated. The formula is going to use that height and then the 2 bases. But the formula goes like this. It's 1/2. So that's 1/2 the height, which is in blue up here, times the two bases added together. Base 1 plus base 2. Doesn't matter which one's base 1 and base 2, you're just going to add them together. So if I call this one base 1, this one base 2, and this is my height. So it's 1/2 the height times base 1 plus base 2. So if I try it on this trapezoid down here and I use the formula that we just talked about. So let's see, area is equal to, so 1/2. Then my height on this is this height right here at 30. So h is 30. And the two bases are 28 and 58, so I need to add those together instead of parentheses here. So 28 and 58. So now order of operations, when I do go to calculate this, I'm going to have to add these first because they're in that set of parentheses. So on my calculator, let me clear this out, I would do 28 plus 58. Some kids like to do it all in one big shot. So they could do 0.5 or a half times 30 times those and use parentheses. So some kids will do that. They'll do 0.5 times, what was the height again? 30 times, and then put a set of parentheses in 28, 58. So that would be the area of that trapezoid, 129. So that means 129 little tiny squares would fit on the inside of this. So area is equal to 129. Again, that's units squared because we're talking about area. All right, so let's see. Taking a look at the next page here. So here I have another trapezoid. This one doesn't give me as much information though. You might run into this situation. I have this base down here at 9. I have this leg here which is perpendicular to the base. That makes this the height because it is perpendicular. So a leg can be the height as long as it's perpendicular to the base. The only problem is I don't know what this base is up here. Let's see if I can figure it out though. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this down on that. That's another height I'm drawing in there. This measurement's still going to be 4. The height does not change. So I notice I have a right triangle over here. And what I can do is I can figure out this missing side. I have two sides, so let's see if I can figure out this missing side using Pythagorean theorem again. So that would be x squared, because it's a leg, plus 4 squared. It's been happening to us a lot lately using the Pythagorean theorem, is equal to the hypotenuse squared, which is 5 squared. So then I got to do what? 25 minus 4 squared, which is what, 16. So 25 minus 16. So that's going to be 9. So that means x squared is equal to 9. And to get rid of that little 2, remember you got to square root both sides. So x squared is equal to 9. Then you square root both sides, and the square root of 9 is 3. Alright, so now you got to use a little thinking. So that 3 I just found is a part of the 9. So this is 3. So the whole thing here is 9. This part of the 9 is 3, which means this remaining part over here would be basically 9 minus 3, which is 6. So that goes from here to here. Well, that's the same distance up here, which is that missing base. So now I got everything I need to figure this out. I got my two bases. One is 6, one is 9, and then I have my height, which is 4. All right, so let's put it all together now. So the area is equal to 1/2 the height, which is 4, times the two bases. Remember, they're 9 and 6, so I had to keep track of those because there's lots of numbers flying all over the place. So 9 plus 6, which is what, 15? So again, I could plug all that into my calculator. .5 times 4 times what was it? 9 plus 6. And that's equal to 30 then. So the area of this is 30. You could fit 30 little squares on the inside of that shape. 30 units squared. So down here, again, I'm trying to use the formula 1/2 the height times base 1 plus base 2. I see I have a base down here at 10. Looks like I have a height here at 6. I just need to figure out what this other base is. Well, if this whole part down here is 10, and notice these two little parts here are 3 and 3. So this part of the 10 and this part of the 10 are 3 and 3. So if I take both of those 3 out of 10, 3 plus 3 is 6, so I'm left with 4. So that means this distance here must be 4, which is the same as this base up here. So now I have everything I need. I have my other base up here, my other base down here, which is the 10, and then I have my height, which is 6. So again, if I plug all that into my area calculation, area is equal to 1/2 the height, which is 6, times base 1 plus base 2, which would be the one base is 4, and the other base is 10. So all I do is plug that in my calculator. Half of 6 is 3. This will be 14, so let's do that. So 0.5 times 6 times 4 plus 10. And so that's equal to 42. So that's 42 square units. So that's another example of finding the area of a trapezoid. So your homework tonight will be on finding the area of a trapezoid, again, using 1/2 the height times base 1 plus base 2, this formula right here. So again, the height has to be perpendicular. The two bases are the top and the bottom. Sometimes you're going to have to do a little work to get those bases, but your homework will be doing that, and then you'll turning that in. So see what you can do on that. Let me know, email me if you have any questions, and I'll look for your submissions to see how you're doing on that. Good luck, and I'll see you soon.